Welcome to episode 128 of the Muck Podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Hadamio.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary!
Hi! I feel like you're not close enough to that microphone for some reason. We got to pull that thing. We have to hear every
Let me get it closer.
Important word that you say. First, I want to show everybody my shirt. Do you recognize this?
Yes!
Do you?
Oh my god, that's from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things,
yes.
Club. Oh my god. I haven't finished yet. No spoilers.
Okay. No spoilers.
I'm on the last episode.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh. I love it. You know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for, shows tend, I know this is the second to the last season. There's one season left. I know what's happening. I get it. But, I'm not a big horror show movie fan.
But this is different, though.
I'm okay with it. Because you know what? I love the characters.
Yes.
What I don't like the last couple of seasons of Stranger Things is how everybody's separated and then they pull them back together.
Yes.
So I know maybe towards the end of this episode, I'll see some people reunited.
Yeah.
You know who I'm fucking obsessed with?
Who?
Is Hopper and that shaved head. Honey,
Hopper is so adorable in this. Oh my god. And
so
he's so
cute.
and the sensitivity.
Yes.
But he's like rough.
Oh my god.
I agree.
I also liked, I don't know if this is, did you finish the whole thing?
I did.
Okay. It's not too much of a spoiler, but he talks about his daughter who had passed away and how he always thought it was cursed. And I'm like, God damn, this whole town's been cursed forever.
Yeah.
It is a totally cursed town.
So this season, because every season I feel like it connects to a prior 80s movie or film.
Yes.
We had the vibe of the Goonies and all these different things. And this season is so, at least to me, to me, it's totally clear that it's Nightmare on Elm Street original.
You know that Robert Englund is in it.
Yes.
He plays the guy in the psych ward.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Krill.
And then also it had Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, I thought of you with that part. Yes.
And then it has It vibes.
And
it's all three of them. And when the one girl dies, I'm like, oh, what am I watching? Nightmare
I never saw
number
it.
one.
Yeah. But what about
You never saw You didn't see original It?
I can't. I'm not into this. I can't. And then
but
the clown,
it was movie. It was a miniseries on TV.
No, I can't do it.
My children have watched. I made them.
I know. Listen, Hazy. Kate's daughter's watching fucking Stranger Things. Kate saw. She was talking the other night. She saw something on TV and she goes, or she saw one of these parts and she goes, Hazy, did you just watch that? She goes, yeah. Hazy's into it. I can't do it. But there's another part that reminded me of Carrie. It was at the roller skating rink.
And Carrie.
They're all circling her and they're saying things to her. I was like, oh my god, this is that scene in the shower in Carrie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
so I really like those nods because for
me too.
Our generation watching it, we're like, but the kids watching it don't really get it. And then
even the font is a throwback if you can if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? When they say where they are, I'm like, even that look of the font is such a throwback.
Yeah.
I appreciate the nostalgia in that. I really do.
And they referenced war games.
And let's not even get into Kate Bush, honey. Let's not even get into it. Oh my god. I'm here for it. Hounds of Love.
My sister, I think I don't know if I've told you this before, but she has been obsessed with Kate Bush forever. Loves Kate Bush. So it's kind of cool for people who love.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. The music. Also, I've noticed lately on the podcast, I feel like I'm turning into Blanche Devereaux from Golden Girls. Everything's what?
I love Blanche.
What is happening right now? So anyway, I'm very everything's like this. And I'm like, I started watching these Golden Girl clips and I was like, I'm fucking Blanche Devereaux on this podcast. And
I love Blanche though.
Me too, but is everything about fucking that's how it seems like it to me? Everything I'm just like, with tag team, I was like, hi. I'm like, tag team? What is wrong with me? I don't want to be tag team. What the fuck? What impression am I leaving on the audience of this lovely podcast?
You're having fun.
So, a couple of things.
Oh, I have a couple of things. I have a couple of sort of fun things, and then I have meh.
All right, so let me say a couple of just updates. We are now in an official recount with the Jessica Cisneros.
Oh, I've been...
yes, we're 197 votes apart. He's
ahead.
Up.
He's ahead.
So she asked for a recount. So it hasn't officially been called yet. They are doing the recount. It's very close. And so...
Please let her win.
I know. We'll see what happens. This is for the primary, so she's going to have to go against the Republican candidate, which I've seen some tweets coming out of that area, and they're like, if you don't live here, you don't know. She can't beat the Republican, and I'm like...
You know what? Things can change. God
I know. So there's that. We had a meeting. I'm sure we're going to get into the gun legislation and the insurrection committee, right?
Yeah.
So let's just let me tell you this first. We met Lauren Book this week.
Hi.
OMG. I gotta tell you, what an impression.
Has a presence.
What an impression
She has a presence.
Yeah. She got up to speak at the Dolphin Dems meeting, and I was like, it was after like a few candidates who, you know, God bless candidates because they really put themselves out there and they run for office.
She's
and put in the work.
But she's a seasoned politician.
She's
done this. You know what I mean? I think after a while when you're in front of people.
Yeah.
But she
has no note cards. There's no, you know, it's just this beautiful human telling you
very
her
authentic,
story, and it's just incredible. I was blown away, and that doesn't ever happen for me. It like happened a handful of times with candidates, so I was like super impressed with her.
Yeah.
And a little bit. She had come back. So I designed those Dolphin Dems Vote 2022 shirts, and that were selling for money. And she came back and bought a couple of shirts before she went up, and she's like, "Did you design this?" And I was like, "Yeah." Now, never introduced herself. I didn't introduce myself, whatever. She puts the shirt on and goes up to do her thing. And then she goes, "First of all, everybody needs to go buy a shirt that Hillary designed back there." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I looked at her, I turned to her people, and I was like, "Oh, she's good. Yeah, she's very good." Like, but it turns out she knew my name because somebody who worked for her, Claire.
Yes. Who's
a doll baby. What a Cupid doll.
Oh my God.
She was a fucking fangirl of this podcast. So afterwards, she comes up to me and she's like, "I want to tell you, I'm totally fangirling right now."
No, she didn't.
I said, "Get out of here. What are you talking about?" She goes, "I love your podcast." I said, "You're joking. Get the fuck out of here," right? She goes, "Why no?" And I was like, "Oh my God! She is a fan of the podcast!"
Oh my God, I love it. Can we make wino shirts? Oh, that's our sign. That's our sign.
I gotta tell you, I know.
W-I-N-O.
I'm sure she's listening. Like, Claire, you made my fucking day. Then I told my mom that story, and she almost fell over because she's like, "When are you gonna get paid for this?" I'm like, "No, it's never gonna get paid." So I told my mom, "I'm a fan."
One day.
She flipped out. She was so excited about it. So thank you, Claire. But Claire, so then Lauren Book was over there trying to shill these shirts for us, and she said, I made eye contact with her, and I'm like, "Hi." And then she sat down. She's like right in front of me. She's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "So we have a podcast." And Tina's like, right next to me.
Yes.
And I was like, "This is my co-host Tina." And I told her all about it. And then I was like, "Well, we do these regular episodes where we cover like shitty people in politics, but then we also," and then Claire goes, "They have a thing and it's called Lil Muck, and they interview people."
No, oh my God.
I was like, "Hi, this is my fan. This is our number one fan, Claire."
Oh my God. How
is incredible.
Love this.
Yeah.
Claire.
I know, Claire. Amazing. And I won't, that's my middle name. It is. It's my grandmother's name, Claire. Spelled the same way as our super fan, Claire. Who is not a wino. So I told her, we asked her to be on the podcast. She's going to come, and we booked it. So she will be coming to record with us in a couple of weeks.
And I have to say, I loved your pun.
I said she was booked on the podcast.
I was like, oh,
I made Tina proud. I was like, I sent it to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Kill me now." I was super excited. So we are going to have the minority leader of the Florida Senate sitting in my fucking dining room talking to us. And she said, I said to her, because she talked about how hard it is to be in a Democrat of Florida right now. It really sucks. And to be in Tallahassee is even worse. And I said, well, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk to you about the hopelessness that I feel, and what are we supposed to be doing? Like, can we please just get real about this shit?
And what it must be. And I think if people know how hard it is, I mean, maybe that will prompt people to do so. I just...
Yeah. And what it's like to be a woman serving, because she mentioned a little story, which we can say for the podcast.
Yes.
She's like, I also want to talk about this, and she told us a story, and I was like, holy fuck.
We need to talk about it.
Yeah, so
it's enough already. It's enough already.
She's pretty incredible, and she's crisscrossing the state. Not only is she running has her own campaign to get reelected, because she has a primary Democrat running against her in the primary, but because she's the minority leader in the Senate, she's also the head of Senate Victory, which is a PAC that gives money. So she's trying to get these
and she's
5
helping,
Senate
she's
seats
helping about
flipped.
those other seats, and she talked about those.
Which is what she talked about. The majority of standing up there was talking about electing other candidates. It's fucking incredible. I mean, I gotta tell you, she fucking blew me away.
She did.
Emma was next to me crying. She's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, it was incredible.
It was very powerful.
Yeah. So yay, Lauren Block. Hashtag Hot Team Blonde, Team Hot Blonde.
Woo!
We're doing it. Of course, I screwed up the hashtag because I'm a nerd. So
it's fine.
The House passed some gun legislation this week.
Yes.
And every headline in the paper the next day was House passes gun legislation likely to fail in the Senate.
Yeah.
And I was like, boom, like fuck you. Can we stop crowing around about legislation that's never going to be a thing?
They're the ones that talk about how the Democrats politicize everything.
Yeah.
Like, this is the time to really come together. Like, it is beyond horrible that we live the way that we do in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. That we are the United States of America, and our children are dying more than police officers and military folks combined. That we're allowing people to live in fear, and that the solution is more weapons. And the thing that I am most afraid of for myself living in the state of Florida is the potential for an open carry. Yeah. I mean, we joke about Florida man and this and that, but like,
no, it's a real thing.
It is very scary to think that I could be, and I think back to that encounter that I had with that white supremacist at Publix who followed me around, and if he had a gun on his side, would I have walked up to stop him from harassing that woman in the parking lot? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have said anything.
I would have been more. I was already afraid.
Yeah, it's all about intimidation. Why else would you carry it?
And to know, like, if I go in a space and there's people with guns, I'm gonna walk out. Like, I'm not gonna want to stay in that space with my kids and shop somewhere. Like, I don't even know, and I don't even know like what level guns they're allowed to walk around with. Right. How large of a gun?
Like you've seen in Texas, how many at Starbucks with a rifle like across the body.
I can't do it. I can't.
Macchiato with a side of rifle. No, thank you.
Right.
No.
Oh God.
It's really scary.
It is, and I saw that Matthew McConaughey. You know, he went and he's a kind of a funny. I don't mean like funny, haha. Just it's like hard to know where he stands. He doesn't really show if he's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't know if it's because he's from Texas and I don't know what it is. Yeah. But he did come. I mean, and he was very emotional. I don't know if you watched him.
I did watch some of it. Yep.
And he was very emotional. But he was right. He's like these kids are dying. He had to go and talk to these parents who can't identify their children. Right. I mean, decapitated. That alone,
decapitated.
These are babies.
Yeah, the bullets.
I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't have even been able to talk to Matthew McConaughey as a parent when he's saying, you know, this parent said this. I would be I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do.
I can't tell you.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid. And then I'm afraid of, let's have more teachers. We already have that in Florida where teachers can be armed. Yeah. I don't like it.
Well, you know what also is, I mean, this is just a side note, is that Manuel Oliver, who you spoke to, is we're very close to getting, getting him on the podcast. Yes. Is that his son died, Joaquin died at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. He stood outside that White House for like 2 weeks, begging for a meeting with Biden. He finally got a meeting with some side people who work for Biden, right, in the White House. Matthew McConaughey met with President Biden. Right. It's a little fucking off for me. I mean, I'm sure Manuel Oliver's like, all right, whatever it takes.
No, I get it. But just because you have star power, like this is a person's
he's using
child.
It. I like that he's using his voice for that.
No,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. However, like, have an audience with this man. I don't get it.
I don't either. It shouldn't take that long.
I don't get it.
Why is he out there?
And he's probably like, it shouldn't take so long to have a change. That his son and all these other children 4 years ago went through this, and now again, like it's again and again and again, and now my son, my 13-year-old, will come up to me every couple of days going, "There's been another mass shooting, blah 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 here. There's been and I'm like, oh my God, like this is the stuff that this is the news that he's following, right? This is what he follows because he wants to know, and I'm like, what is that doing to him?
Say to him, no more, don't do this.
You know,
it's not necessary. We know it exists. We have to keep moving forward. I mean, we have to live, right?
But it's like, you know, our children.
Of course, it becomes a constant reminder.
Like, are they the ones now? Like, this has to be their burden too,
right? Well, when we went to school, think about, I read it was a pediatrician who testified at the committee hearings on the House about this. She was in the hospital. She grew up in Uvalde. She went to that elementary school. She described her experience going to the school, and like Tuesdays was hamburger days, and you could smell it throughout the school, and you were so excited to go to the lunchroom because you get to have these hamburgers, and you can move freely through the school. Like, you could run from classroom to classroom. That's what school was like for us. So when your son's looking it up, it's because it is now something that is at his doorstep. Like, it is at his face, in his face, that this is something he has to be aware of. And it's not something we've ever had to be aware of when we were in school.
Yeah, and, you know, like, kids cannot, you know, I'll have kids that will be like, can I just step out to do, and I'm like, no, like, you have to have a pass, you have to have somewhere, you cannot just be out in the hallway, you can't go here. You know, it is restrictive, and the doors have to remain locked. They have to remain locked, and like, we're supposed to open the door. You know, and sometimes a student will get up because they're like right there and opening, you know, they'll open the door, but like, I'm supposed to be the one to go up, like, I have to open it.
Right.
Like, this is, what are we doing? We're locked in a room. We're locked in with blood, like, whatever. It's too much.
Well, this is freedom, but you have all the freedom, Tina. It's called freedom. Welcome to the USA.
Yeah, and Florida, free Florida, right? Like, we're in the freest state in the land.
Don't you feel free when you're locked in a room all fucking day? Can't move about freely?
Oh my God.
Motherfuckers. So, I mean, I guess we should mention this insurrection committee. My God. God.
Well, I was at a concert Thursday.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I watched
it the next day. I watched the whole thing.
Oh, I did not watch the whole thing. I watched the first 10 minutes of that video.
Oh, the video footage.
And by the end of it, I had tears.
I did too. I texted my husband. I go, I'm crying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something else. I was sitting with people, and I'm not going to say where or how or what, who were commenting on the video footage, who said that there really weren't that many people there.
We have video. It's video.
No.
What are you talking about?
No.
This is so fucked. People are fucked up.
And you know, that because it's you know, prime time.
See, I knew this was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
You Democrats, I'm telling you, it's a thing. I mean, it needed to happen this way.
However,
it's bipartisan. I get it.
No, this should be on every single news.
I agree with you.
When we grew up, what was in the backdrop?
I agree with you.
What was on the TV? Iran-Contra.
I agree with you.
I remember that every day. My grandparents
looks like a show. It looks like a production, which it needed to be, to put it together so people can understand it. It's not a boring committee hearing.
I know, but I feel like as a person, I want to know what happened. I want to transparency. And whether it's on, and now I think also that TV is so different now that, like, before it was like on, like, I remember because my grandmother used to watch, she used to call them her stories, the soaps.
Yeah.
She'd go, we want to watch the stories. And, you know, but then it was, that's one summer where it was just Oliver North. Like, that was on every day. And, like, as kids, we sat and watched it. And I think, like, what kids are going to be watching this with streaming? And, you know what I mean? Like, it's very easy not to watch this.
Yeah.
Because I don't have cable. Like, I watched it on YouTube the next day.
Yeah.
Because I don't have cable.
I watched the first 10 minutes, and here's the thing. I don't need to be convinced of what happened. Fox News didn't play it, and that's the motherfuckers who need to be convinced of what happened.
Well, that's the funny thing. Why aren't they showing this
Because
hearing?
they're complicit. They're complicit in it.
Yeah. But the thing, though, that what I liked is they were like, we're going to lay out this...
and we're gonna, and they did.
It
was beautiful.
And I mean, and it's going to keep going. And this, but when they showed that footage,
oh my God!
And when they talked to that police officer,
it was the cop thing for me. It was the first 10 minutes of that video with the police saying we've lost the line. We need back up. Some officer down. They're screaming on the things. I thought to myself, I cannot believe that any fucking American
watching this thinks this
could
is a
hear this
protest.
and say that this was okay. And that they were reading Trump's tweets, that Trump...
Yes!
I forgot what he was saying. Because, see, when that day happened, I was at work. So about 3 o'clock, I was looking at the timeline. I'm like, oh, I really wasn't aware of what was going on until like 2:30, 3 o'clock.
So same with
and
me.
They were already in the building.
Yes.
I didn't realize that fucking planned lead up into the building.
So I was teaching. And so I, like, you know, and kids were coming in going... there's I don't know if they called it an insurrection then, but they were like
attack. Maybe.
They were talking about how like this was happening, and they're like, can we watch it? And I wasn't allowed to show anything like that, so I was like, no, we can't watch it. But I was like on my phone, everyone's on their phones, and I'm like trying to teach a lesson.
Incredible.
And this thing is going on in my head. I remember just being.
Not one shot. Like, I'm surprised more shots weren't fired. Can we get rubber bullets for people? Can we get these cops rubber bullets?
And when they say that this is a peaceful protest, like, let's look at the March on Washington. Let's look at Women's March. Let's look at any of the, I mean, I went to an anti-war rally in like 2005, and you gather and you have speakers, and you're not pushing through barriers. So for them to say that this was and the other thing that I found interesting was that documentarian who was following the Proud Boys around, and like when they were doing the footage of people coming in, like they're like, here are the Proud Boys. I forget the ones in the orange, what they called them.
Yeah.
But they're showing like, here's them talking, here's them breaching.
Yes. They put the little spotlight on them, right?
And then the documentarian the night before gets them in a garage speaking. The night before. So, right, like if this was planned. Like, what we're just doing, but they're talking in a garage. They have all the stuff, the language from Trump, which he isn't saying. This is where it's going to be hard, because he isn't saying directly, right? It's all veiled. It's all veiled. So, like, that's where it's going to be. That's going to be the hard part, I think.
Also,
but they meet in the garage, and then prior to where he's speaking, it's like an hour before, there's some of them scoping places out, and the head of the committee was like, it seems to me that they're scoping out places that they can break through an hour or so before, because this is planned.
Also because they were barricades where there was one officer. That's insane to me. She's trying to hold the barricade with one officer.
She went flying back. Oh my god.
And then she
helps people, that she gets concussed again. Like,
the part that's so fucking, this is how you know he's complicit and he should be sedition, like should be fucking arrested and thrown in fucking jail.
Yes, all of them. Any damn Republican who knew about it that are still sitting in their seats. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, this is how I know he never calls the National Guard. Like, no, that to me right there would not do it. Is so fucking complicit and like didn't care about anybody in that building. Calling out Mike Pence to do the right thing.
They were calling on hanging.
But by the way,
Pence is Pence, right? You're gonna call on someone to be hanged?
Yeah.
And even like going in after Pelosi, like imagine if I was, I mean, my God.
So
like they're screaming her name. I would.
AOC was watching it, and she tweeted. Like she videotaped her screen of the committee when they were playing that video, and she said, and she tweeted the video, and she said, at this moment when this was happening in real time, Lauren Boebert was tweeting the location of Nancy Pelosi.
No, she was not.
Yeah. She said, "Yeah."
Isn't that
during the insurrection? She was tweeting where she was. And then AOC said, and also at this moment, I was in my bathroom, huddled on the floor, thinking I was going to be raped, scared out of my mind in my office bathroom. Like, that's what was happening when all these people were running through that building.
I can't imagine the trauma.
Oh my!
No, and I mean,
all of them are suffering from it. Believe me.
And I know we all call out Pelosi all the time.
Oh, however, no, she would have been killed.
However,
come on,
no, they would have killed her.
Yeah,
they would have killed her. What are we doing? What are we doing? And the fact that then his later tweet was like, thanks guys, kind of like, there was nothing, he is a disgusting human being. And then I saw that Ivanka Trump, I'm like, what a,
no, I know.
She's so, like,
other
from the inside, she's
all I know is this, I hope and I pray to God and the universe and whoever else everybody believes in. All I ask is that you do this. Let's never repeat this dark time in our life, like in our history of this country. Like this was not only was his entire campaign presidency and this January 6th insurrection, not only was that like just all
a nightmare.
Dark, we can't repeat that again.
Oh no, if listen, if
we cannot do it. This will all go away. We just need to let them go away. We need to arrest them, put them in jail, and let this go. We cannot re-elect ever. Ron DeSantis cannot be president of this country. We will see a repeat of this.
It will be worse.
Major. It will
major. Be worse.
Yeah.
With DeSantis.
We can't do this again. We cannot do it again. I'd take Sleepy Joe over any of this.
Oh my God! Like, please,
this is not okay. It's not okay. All right, listen. One last thing because we got to get into it. I always worry about my.
The camera.
My camera.
Yeah.
The last thing is Lil Muck's getting a reboot, honey. We're coming back, bitch. We're gonna interview.
Oh, we got like a triple. We have like a triple amazing shows coming up.
Yeah, we mentioned Lauren Book, but today we're recording 2, and so next Friday coming out will be Wesley Davis, Wes Davis, who is a statewide field director for Equality Florida, which is they fight for LGBTQ rights at the legislature. I'm excited about him. I followed him on Twitter for a long time and like scooped him out and like, what's going on, right? And then he followed us on Instagram and I was like, oh my God. Oh! So I sent him a message immediately. I was like, hi, I'm a huge fan. I'm fangirling. And he was like, oh, I just found your podcast. Where should I start? I'm like, oh my God, here's the episodes you should listen to. And then I was like, do you want to go? That was months ago. So we have now going to have him on, which I'm so excited. So
and
we have
next Friday. Jennifer Driver.
Yes.
And she's going to talk to us about abortion access. She's been like an incredible activist for the past 15 years or so. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to her about the mess that we are in with reproductive rights.
Totally.
So I was so excited to talk to her.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you ready? You're first.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. Today, I am going to tell the story of former Pennsylvania Attorney General Kathleen Kane. So in 2012, Kathleen Kane became the first Democrat and woman to win as Attorney General in Pennsylvania. But when she finds herself in an undercover sting operation, she jeopardizes her career.
I love this. I know I like this undercover.
Sting.
Yes, honey.
Woo! All right, so our story is taking place in my home state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, you don't want to be home state Florida? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I mean,
I don't blame you.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will always
in the
hold
bird.
My heart.
Yeah.
But she was born in Scranton, which, The Office is the only thing.
My kids are just watching this, yes.
And prior to her run for Attorney General, she worked as an assistant county prosecutor in Lackawanna County, and that's according to PBS. And after being elected as Attorney General, she did some good work. For example, she stopped the attempt to privatize the state lottery. She went after folks involved in a pay-to-play Pennsylvania Turnpike scandal. And she refused to defend the ban on same-sex marriage. She's like, I'm not defending this. Like, this is wrong. And she's in support of same-sex marriage. And so, doing the right thing.
Good stuff.
So what went wrong? This story is really rife with tensions that occurred prior to Kane's win. So the prosecutor that was working on this sting operation kind of gets a lot of information on Democrats.
Okay.
Right? And the Morning Call reported that this took place under the Republican Attorney General, Tom Corbett, beginning in 2010. But when Kane took office, she shut down this investigation.
Oh, okay.
And claiming that the investigation was fueled by racism and didn't really have a leg to stand on because the reps that they were going after happened to be part of the Black Caucus. And so she felt that it was more about that, though there was some evidence that money was exchanging hands. Those who worked on the case noted that over 400 hours of audio and video highlighted city Democrats for taking money and gifts, which according to the investigation had been in exchange for votes or contracts and the like.
Oh boy.
And this wasn't big time payments, so this isn't like some of the other stuff where it's like $54 million or some huge thing. But there were 4 politicians involved. It was State Rep Ronald G. Waters, who accepted multiple payments to a total of $7,650. State Rep Vanessa Brown took $4,000. State Rep Michelle Brownlee received $3,500, and State Rep Lewis Bishop took $1,500. So it's not like these huge, money, but I mean, $5 is too much. A cup of coffee is too much. You know what I mean?
If you're willing to do that, what else are you willing to do?
Yes.
I'm not here for that. No.
What happened, like how they kind of figured this out, is that they used a lobbyist that was a known lobbyist to people named Tyron Ali. And they wired him up and they sent him in to get this intel. And he did it because he was embroiled in his own fraud case to the tune of like $430,000. So they're like, you're going to help us out, probably in exchange for leniency or less time or who knows what. And so he did it. And so when the money wasn't exchanged, they did vote in favor of certain things. For example, after Brown allegedly took money, she was asked to vote against having to show ID at the polls. And she, along with everyone else, voted in favor of that. So it's hard to, again, like maybe she would have voted that way anyway, who knows, but now she's taken money, right? But all of them denied the allegations. And remember, this case kind of just disappears, and nothing ever went forward. These are all allegations. I'm not saying anybody did this. This is just what the investigation found, right? But when Kane comes on the scene, she's just like, yeah, no, this is about racism. There isn't enough evidence here. Like, I'm not following it. But the Morning Call did report that evidence was given to federal prosecutors. So, she's at the state level, but the prior group sent it forward to federal prosecutors. And this was a few weeks before Kane even was inaugurated as AG. And they didn't take the case, but they declined to say why. So I don't know if there was enough evidence or who knows what. The prosecutors on the state level, however, felt that Kane should have removed herself from the case, as she knew a judge who had been involved with the informant, and she denied that there was conflict. So there's all of this like tension, because there's like the old people that are around that want her to move forward. She's newly elected, so there's like a lot of butting heads that's happening. Like it's not like the things at the office aren't, there's tension, so again, she felt like that since federal prosecutors saw a flawed case, that she was justified in shutting things down, because she's like, they're not chasing it on the federal level, like whatever, I'm not going to go, I'm not doing anything. So the Morning Call article states that there's like all this drama that have like mucked everything up because of this case. And there was a lead prosecutor named Frank Fina, who he was one of the people on the case trying to like take down these 4 people. And Fina and Kane did not have good feelings for one another. They like did not like each other because during the campaign, Kane had said that Fina took too long on the famous Sandusky case. So remember the Sandusky case? And the Penn State football coach and all of that. And she's running. So she's calling out people sort of in the other attorney general's office.
Good idea. Honey, you gotta go in there.
And she's like, like they took too long, they didn't do enough, like that, and that's kind of what she...
Trying to get votes,
right?
Oops.
So when she took office, she replaced him, but prior to doing so, she had folks go into Fina's office to try and find files on the Sandusky case to try to show like that they were faulty.
What?
Yeah. So
bitch, that's not okay.
So now like again, like this is causing more and more tension.
Oh no.
But then Fina, before leaving office, copied the sting files from those 4 people, sent them to federal prosecutors, and then there was like a leak to the press that like, and now it's like, oh, Kane isn't doing anything, like she's not following through, and now she's getting this press that like, she isn't prosecuting these people, and it's because they're Democrats. So now she's pissed off. So she decides to have some revenge.
Can people just do their jobs? Can you just work? What are you doing with this back and forth bullshit? What are we in high school? Just fucking work.
And I do want to say that Kane did say that she listened to all those hours of tapes, and her feeling was,
I bet she didn't do shit. Come on.
Her feeling was, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, that where does the line get drawn between an actual case of like bribery or entrapment? And she felt like these were more incidents of entrapping someone rather than it being a legitimate, like they're doing something, you know what I mean?
All right.
So that's what she
I guess the difference is if you go looking for it and then they go, oh, okay, let's put a honey trap out
and
here.
She's
for
like,
whatever.
she's like, are we using our power to create a crime?
Right.
Or rather than stopping a crime from happening,
who would
right?
take it.
Right. So that's like, which I feel like is a legitimate thing. And maybe if she would just let things go and take the heat and move on with her life, like things wouldn't have happened the way they did. So how does all this drama lead to her downfall? Well, she ends up leaking grand jury testimony to smear the 2 state prosecutors who she was allegedly upset with for leaking the story about her not wanting to pursue the corruption case.
Good grief.
Now,
get a life. You're the fucking Attorney General of Pennsylvania,
it's like,
bitch.
you want to leak shit about me? I'm going to leak shit about you. How about that?
My God.
However, when she took the AG position, she swore an oath that you will not share any information from grand jury testimony. Like that is like, you're not allowed to do it. And she signed that.
Right. Grand juries is how you get an indictment.
Yes.
So there's information in there that might not show up in the trial even.
Yes.
So you can't, what is she doing?
So there was a memo like related to that case, and that was emailed to her. And this is all tied to like the Sandusky stuff and all this other stuff.
Okay.
And that's the memo that gets leaked.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? And then she claimed that she never saw the email. And the email was so this email was a big email because it's like they called it Porngate.
Okay.
Because the email was about how all like during the Sandusky case, they're like sending each other memes about like sexual assault and like stupid shit like that. Yes. And other things.
A little inappropriate.
Sorry.
It's a little inappropriate in the middle of a trial where children were being raped. Young men were being raped.
Yes. So basically, the scandal, according to WESA, resulted in 6 firings, 2 resignations, and 23 reprimands.
Oh my gosh.
And, again, tied to Sandusky. So the folks involved, they were sending, like I said, these inappropriate emails.
Oh my God.
But along with like the stuff that was like kind of tied to like the Sandusky stuff, they were also like racially charged.
Oh my gosh, Tina!
And some of and I saw a couple. I'm not going to post it on Instagram, but a couple of them about violence towards women. And according to Kane, were pornographic, like some of the other stuff that was tied to Sandusky.
So is that Fina one of the people who are sending these things too?
All of them.
Oh my God, this is so sick.
Right, so she leaks that.
These are people who are supposed to be the good guys.
Right. So she leaks that.
Oh,
and she also ended up having to retract a statement where she claimed that state employees were sending porn that had pictures of children, but that wasn't true. So she was
God.
Like, like she's really stirring the pot.
What is wrong? Like so much drama. Just get your job done. Don't you have enough fucking work to do?
And these people were going to get fired. Like this was coming out anyway. But the problem was that she gave it to the press, right? And like because she was upset that her shit got sent to the press.
She is a monster. This is fucked up. Like you really need to get your shit together.
Yes. So Penn Live reported that she had to say that employees did not send child porn and that there would be no charges. Like because if it was child porn, of course that would be something else. But they're just sending like. They're being really shitty with the stuff that they're sending. Yeah. So the issue is that the information in the scandal was leaked to the press and she denies it. She also had state employees accessing other employees' emails to keep tabs on the investigation, which she wasn't allowed to do because of the protective order that the judge had in the case. But she's like, try to get me more info.
My gosh.
Yeah. So according to Pittsburgh's Action News 4, in 2014, she testifies before the grand jury regarding whether or not she's leaked information to specifically harm her political enemies. And she says, no. I didn't do any of that. So now she's lied before a grand jury and like, that's it. Like, perjury, you're over. You're over.
What is wrong with you? This is... It's the email, it's paper, it's stuff that, but this is stuff that can be accessed as proof and evidence. What does she think she's going to do?
I know.
I mean...
So then in April 2015, she fires prosecutor James Baker after he testified before the grand jury.
Oh boy.
So they start looking into that to see if it was retaliatory because it's like, I could see why they may think so. Oh, you're testifying, suddenly you're out of a job. And she's like, no, it was for other things. And later that same month, in April of 2015, the grand jury recommends charges, noting, quote, the testimony of Attorney General Kane was not an honest account of the events, and she mischaracterized events to cover up activities undertaken at her direction to unlawfully release documents subject to grand jury secrecy. And Furman announced that Kane did what she did, quote, in hopes of embarrassing and harming former state prosecutors she believed, without evidence, made her look bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it. Like, be pissed off at these guys. But if they're involved in Porngate, let it roll out. Let it roll out. Let it play out. It's all going to come out eventually. Let them get whatever issue, whatever. Even if they get fired and it doesn't come out because it's protected, like, who cares? They're gone. Like, now you're jeopardizing your whole career because you're pissed off.
So messed up.
It's like so petty.
It is. Like, rise above that shit.
Yes. So some of the charges, according to Pittsburgh Action 4 News: perjury, false swearing, obstruction, and conspiracy. And like so many others before her, when she is officially charged and then released on her $10,000 bond, she has no plans on resigning.
Of course not.
She's like, I'm just going to say, but it's like, just resign. Like, you screwed up, why prolong it? And now she did say, like, if I resign, that's an admission of guilt, which I get. But at the same time, it could be like, you know what? I'm going to take a leave of absence until this plays out.
Yeah.
Let the office run without all of this sort of turmoil surrounding it. I don't know. So when she does speak, according to Pittsburgh Action News 4, she spills some dirt. She says that she's being targeted, she's the victim, and she is for exposing emails that contain pornographic and racist material.
Honey.
This is what she says at her press conference.
Oh, God, it never ends.
And then the
There's
court,
no humble,
and she calls on the
anything.
court. She's like, release the emails, and then they do release the emails. And like I said, some of them were pretty gross.
Oh, God.
And the one that I was like, oh my God, that this was going around in like the 2000s was, there was a girl with a black eye, right? She has one black eye.
Okay.
And it's titled Irish Sunglasses.
Oh, no.
And it's captioned, free pair when you forget dinner. Like, so then the other eye will get knocked out.
God.
And then it was like the same image was used with like other kind of stupid It was like shit like that they're sharing.
Yeah,
like,
these
what
guys are supposed to be prosecuting the people who do that kind of stuff.
Like,
it's not funny.
So gross.
You should take that seriously.
Yeah,
Physical
it's
assault
gross.
is like...
And you want to do it from your personal account and be a jerk off, fine. But you're doing this on a state, like on your job's
Did they
email.
not understand email in 2000? Like, I mean, that's the craziest part to me is that all of this is
But they're all
traceable.
sending it, and it's like one of those
Yeah.
like oh ha ha ha, and then they're sending it like groups and
It's like an episode of The Office.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
So fucked up.
So throughout the trial, it's found that she did conspire to leak the info. She worked with her political consultant, Joshua Morrow, who testified that this was the plan. And in 2016, she's found guilty of 2 counts of perjury, 7 misdemeanor charges that included obstruction and conspiracy. CNN reported that state prosecutor Kevin Steele had this to say, quote, "It seemed that we had somebody who felt that she was above the law, and that's not the case because no one is above the law. We are a very honorable profession here. We have rules that we have to abide by, and there are no exceptions to that." Kane had this to say during the time of her trial, quote, "I don't think it's any secret that I'm not a good politician. I don't like politics. I despise it. And I don't believe I'm good at politics." And it's just wild to me that she tanked her entire career on a lie to the grand jury. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's not even being a politician. You're not even a good fucking attorney general.
Like,
you're not a good lawyer.
It's like
who does this?
You work your whole life. Like you are the first female, the first Democrat. Like this great thing, and now it's tarnished. And then how do people trust to put someone else in that position when look what you did? Yeah. Like, it's not just you that you're tarnishing, like, the party. You're tarnishing women. I don't know.
That Sandusky thing was huge.
That was huge.
To think that there was another, like, bullshit happening underneath how big that fucking case was. And how important it was.
So horrible.
To protect victims and...
So she was sentenced to 10 to 23 months in October of 2016.
Damn!
She reported to jail in November 2018, and because it was like appeal.
Yeah.
And she was released in July 2019. So she served 8 of the 10 months.
Wow!
But still, like, that she went to jail,
this is
like,
crazy.
for lying.
Wow.
It's like and
necessary, has to happen.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
And the aftermath, she loses her law license. So now, like, there's her career. That's it.
What happened to the other guys? Did anybody else lose their fucking law license?
I know.
This is bullshit. Like, what is she doing? You're going to allow these tiny little men get in the way of your fucking hard work?
I know.
Honey, get your shit together.
Get it together.
Bitch, no.
Kathleen. So the other thing that was part of the fallout of this case is that the grand jury info that Kane leaked, had to do with a case involving Wyatt Desire, who was the former head of the Philadelphia NAACP. And those emails, according to Lehigh Valley, reported that it ended up, so he kind of he didn't really do anything wrong, but because all these emails are getting released and like his name is attached, like it ends up harming him and like his charity and all this stuff. Like she didn't think of like all the other stuff involved.
She's an asshole.
Yes.
It really is about her. That's why this whole thing happened.
And some points of interest, according to Craig McCoy's Philadelphia Inquirer article, in May of this year, Kane was arrested again.
What?
This time for a DUI, and that was in violation of her probation.
No! She's going back to jail?
So specifically, she hit someone's car.
Oh my God.
When officers arrived, she refused a breathalyzer.
Oh my God.
But the officers on the scene alleged she couldn't stand on one foot, she had slurred speech, and she smelled like booze.
Oh, this poor woman.
Her probation was revoked. And she had to check into rehab. So instead of going to jail, like she had to go into... She had already served... she was jailed for a couple of months, and then she had done like this other rehab, and then the judge was like you need to go get treatment. Yeah. So she ends up, and the judge is the same judge that sentenced her the first time.
Oh, no!
Judge Demchik Aloy, and he said, quote, "I was hopeful of not seeing you, but that was your choice, not mine." You know, bad. One article from the Billy Penn site explored, now this I thought was interesting. This article was exploring whether or not Kathleen Kane should be looked at as a feminist icon. And despite what happened, some feel that she was calling out the misogynistic behavior of these men with these emails, right? And that she was fighting hard against this established boys club. You know, and she's trying to fight against them, and they're coming at her, and she's like, screw you, you guys are a bunch of trash, maybe. Like, look at your emails, look at this bullshit. She went about it the wrong way. Yeah. She went about it the wrong way. Philly Councilwoman Cindy Bassett, quote, "We owe a debt of gratitude to Kathleen Kane, because if it weren't for her, then I'm certain we would never have known anything about any of these emails." And Executive Director of Pennsylvania's NOW, the National Organization of Women, Karen Hunt, said, quote, Kathleen Kane has done... Kathleen Kane has done the women of the state a big favor by exposing this hornet's nest of racism and sexism and homophobia. So, you know, I think she was trying to do the right thing to show that these guys are trash. But again, like, you can't be surreptitious about it. You like go up. You're an attorney general. I'm sure that there is a way that they could have figured out legally to go about and have these things exposed without her jeopardizing her entire career and landing in jail. And
she's fighting. She's already won. She won the election. That's already beating all of that. Yes. So all you need to do now, honey, is work hard. Keep your head up. Ignore that fucking bullshit and prove them fucking wrong. Don't fucking give them the fuel. And that's what she did. She fell into this like,
I'm gonna get them.
But it's also like, it's not a feminist icon thing to be fucking petty and like gossipy and like paranoid, which is what she was. She let it get to her and she didn't just rise above it.
And it's hard. And I can imagine that it probably was really hard to have to go in and like
sure
face
it was,
these
but you
men
know what?
and,
that's the job you wanted. Yeah. And you know they're shitty. We all know what's happening. We all know. But it's not your job to do that. Your job is to prosecute these cases, run that office, and you let that you got down in the goddamn muck, the muck with them. So it's that it's fucked up.
So there was one little funny thing, a couple funny things with this trial is that she has a twin sister. Okay. And when, you know, it was a big deal. Like she's going into court, and she has her twin sister like walk in, like dressed and walk in, so that all the cameras are taking pictures of the twins, so she can kind of come in and like go unnoticed. And people are like, she's tricking everyone with the twin sister. You know, I was like, oh, that's so funny that like they plan like you're gonna go in and walk ahead. They're gonna think you're me, and she's gonna kind of slide into court without having her photo taken. I thought that was funny. And then another article noted that her sister did receive some of the emails tied to Porngate. Really? Because her sister worked for the AG's office prior to her like winning that seat. Wow. But she wasn't reprimanded or disciplined like everyone else.
Come on, bro. Stop trying to make this person come on, Tina. It's enough.
And then the sister ends up out of her job because she received like this 19% pay raise in 1 year after filing a complaint that she wasn't paid equally to others in her position. Mm-hmm. But basically she and other people in Kane's circle kind of all lose their jobs. And it's a shame for the sister because she was working as a clerk prior to all of this, you know? And here's the thing. If somebody sends you an email, like, you can't control what someone sends you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're part of a chain, I don't want to call it a chain email, but if you're a group email and like someone's sending these stupid memes, you're just, if you send it out, then I feel like you're complicit. But if you receive it, I guess you should tell she should have gone to HR maybe, or someone to say like, hey, especially in the 2000s, like we've been having training on this type of stuff, right? Yeah. On like workplace harassment or things like that. Like, that's something that I feel like you could go to HR about and say, I don't feel comfortable with these memes that are getting sent around. Right. You know, like maybe that should have been the process, is one person who received it going to HR. Now it's on file. You know what I mean? Right. Like, there had to be a different way. I don't know. But that's the story of Kathleen Kane's corruption in the Keystone State. Okay. Tina, excellent. Wonderful. I loved it. Yay. Somebody came to knock on the door and I got a little like spooked. Yes. I don't like people. Don't come to my door. I don't want to see you. Yeah. I don't want to see you. Please don't want the salesperson. But I'm always like, oh, no solicitors. And otherwise. Yeah. So, to continue the LGBTQ Pride Month, I'm going to hit a very sad note. I'm so sorry. But I think it's important. Yeah, no. I am going to cover the murder of Matthew Shepard. Oh, God. I know. I'm sorry. I know. But I have to tell you, and I think I've said it on this podcast before, but the Laramie Project. Oh, yeah. That movie really changed my life. And I had, friends in, the gay community, and this came out. I know I keep touching everything. I just, when I hear the audio, all I hear is like, sorry. And that movie, I cried. Yeah. There is one scene, and I'm probably going to cry describing it, but you know the scene, and I think I've talked about it on here before, where they go to march for him. Mm-hmm. And there's like no one on one side of the street, and then they go around. It's like the whole street is filled. It's incredible. Let's get into it because we got
You're gonna make me cry.
This makes me cry. And we got a video that'll run out, so we need to get, because we did too much up front. Too much. It's my fault. I'm sorry. It's okay. Okay, so LGBTQ people frequently experience violence directed toward their sexuality or because of their sexuality, gender identity, or gender expression. This violence may be enacted by the state, as in laws, punishing them for homosexual acts, or by individuals. It may be psychological or physical and motivated by homophobia or transphobia. Influencing factors may be cultural, religious, or political biases, right? So everybody's aware of these things, and they happen currently. Like, this is still a real thing for the LGBTQ community. Currently, homosexual acts are legal in almost all Western countries, and in many of these countries, violence against LGBTQ people is classified as a hate crime, thanks to Matthew Shepard's family and activists. And the law, yeah. Outside the West, many countries are deemed potentially dangerous to the LGBTQ community population due to both discriminatory legislation and threats of violence. Such violence is often associated with religious condemnation of homosexuality or conservative social attitudes that portray homosexuality as an illness or a character flaw, which it is not. No. Historically, state-sanctioned persecution of homosexuals was mostly limited to male homosexuality, termed sodomy in America, or in around the world. So we talked about that with the boys in Boise, all these sodomy laws. So in some countries, 85% of LGBTQ students experience homophobic and transphobic violence in school, and 45% of transgender students drop out of school. So, I kind of just really, like, Matthew Shepard was this point that we both remember, but also just, I want to remind people that people are killed every single day because they're in the part of the community. And the trans community specifically is murdered at a higher rate than any other community. Yeah. And it's mostly because of lack of visibility and lack of understanding. And so the trans community has been like, that's, I will quote Joe Biden on this, that trans rights are the new civil rights. I actually 100% believe that. Black trans women are the most
marginalized group of people in this country, and if we are protecting them, then all the rest of us are all protected.
Yeah.
If the black trans women are protected, we all have our rights. So we really need to think about that, the intersection of that population. So, Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard was born in 1976 in Casper, Wyoming. He was the first of 2 sons born to Judy and Dennis Shepard. As a child, he was, quote, friendly with all his classmates, but was targeted and teased due to his small stature and lack of athleticism. He developed an interest in politics at an early age. Saudi Aramco hired his father in the summer of 1994, and Shepard's parents subsequently resided in the Saudi Aramco residential camp in Dhahran. It's like an oil field. During that time, Shepard attended the American School in Switzerland, from which he graduated in May 1995. He participated in theater and took German and Italian courses. He then attended Catawba College in North Carolina and Casper College in Wyoming. And he became a first-year political science major at the University of Wyoming in Laramie with a minor in languages, and was chosen as a student representative for the Wyoming Environmental Council.
I mean...
So young, sweet, interested in life, environment,
and
language.
Like all the good things.
Yeah.
All the good things.
He was an Episcopalian and once served as an altar boy in the church. He was described by his father as optimistic and accepting young man who had a special gift of relating to almost everyone. He was the type of person who was very approachable and always looked to new challenges. Shepard had a great passion for equality and always stood up for the acceptance of people's differences. Michelle Josui, who had been Shepard's friend and later created a documentary about him called Matt Shepard is a Friend of Mine, described him as, quote, a tender-hearted and kind person, end quote. In 1995, Shepard was beaten and raped during a high school trip to Morocco. This caused him to experience depression and panic attacks, according to his mother, and his friends fear that his depression had driven him to become involved with drugs during his time in college, and he was hospitalized multiple times for clinical depression and suicidal ideation. So,
oh, poor baby.
He'd been through a lot.
Yes.
So, all right, let's get into this. On the night of October 6th, 1998, Shepard was approached by Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson at the Fireside Lounge in Laramie. All 3 men were in their early 20s. McKinney and Henderson offered to give Shepard a ride home. They subsequently drove to a remote rural area and proceeded to rob, pistol whip, and torture Shepard, tying him to a barbed wire fence and leaving him to die. Many media reports contained the graphic account of the pistol whipping and his fractured skull.
Ugh.
Reports described how Shepard was beaten so brutally that his face was completely covered in blood, except where he had been partially cleansed by his tears.
I know.
He was just so young, Tina. I can't. The assailant's girlfriends testified that neither McKinney nor Henderson was under the influence of alcohol or other drugs at the time of the attack. McKinney and Henderson testified that they learned of Shepard's address and intended to steal from his home as well. After attacking Shepard and leaving him tied to the fence in near freezing temperatures, McKinney and Henderson returned to town. And McKinney proceeded to pick a fight with 2 men, 19 and 18-year-old, and the fight resulted in head wounds for both one of these other kids and McKinney. And police officer Flint Waters arrived at the scene of the fight. He arrested Henderson and he searched McKinney's truck and he found a blood-smeared gun along with Shepard's shoes and his credit card. Henderson and McKinney later tried to persuade their girlfriends to provide alibis for them and help them dispose of the evidence. Still tied to the fence, Shepard was in a coma.
That's the time that they could have said,
there's somebody out there. What the fuck do they care? Still tied to the fence, Shepard was in a coma 18 hours after the attack when he was discovered by Aaron Crefels, a cyclist who initially mistook Shepard as a scarecrow.
Yeah.
That's how he was just like laying. Reggie Flutie, the first police officer to arrive at the scene, found Shepard alive but covered in blood. The medical gloves issued by the Albany County Sheriff's Office were faulty and Flutie's supply had run out. She decided to run her bare hands to clear an airway in Shepard's bloody mouth. A day later, she was informed that Shepard was HIV positive and that she might have been exposed to the virus. She took AZT for several months and she was testing negative, so she's fine. She's okay. Judy Shepard later, Matthew's mother, later wrote that she had learned of her son's HIV status while he lay dying in the hospital. He had suffered fractures to the back of his head. And in the front of his right ear. He experienced severe brain stem damage, which affected his body's ability to regulate his heart rate, body temperature, and other vital functions. There were also about a dozen small lacerations around his head, face, and neck. His injuries were deemed too severe for doctors to operate. Shepard never regained consciousness and remained on full life support. While he lay in intensive care and in the days following the attack, candlelight vigils were held in countries around the world. Shepard was pronounced dead 6 days after the attack. At 12:53 a.m. on October 12, 1998, he was 21 years old.
It's a baby. I remember like so much news coverage of this. Was like one of the I think for me like the biggest account or media coverage of a hate crime like this.
Yeah, well,
that I purposely
we get into. I'm going to tell you why, because
that I remember as a young person, because I was
his friends were like, fuck
near
this.
His age.
His friends were very vocal from the beginning and were like, fuck this. This is because he was gay, and like push it out there. But it was like, we're not going to let this go away, you know, which is fucking incredible.
Yeah,
you know. So McKinney and Henderson were arrested and initially charged with attempted murder, kidnapping, and aggravated robbery. After Shepard's death, the charges were upgraded from attempted murder to first-degree murder, which meant that the two defendants were eligible for the death penalty. Their girlfriends, Kristen Price and Chastity Paisley, were charged with being accessories after the fact.
Ooh.
So at McKinney's November 1998 pretrial hearing, Sergeant Rob Debris testified that McKinney had stated in an interview on October 9th that he and Henderson had identified Shepard as a robbery target and pretended to be gay to lure him out to their truck, and that McKinney had attacked Shepard after Shepard put his hand on McKinney's knee.
That's such bullshit.
Detective Ben Fritzen testified that Price stated McKinney told her the violence against Shepard was triggered by how McKinley, quote, felt about gays, end quote. In December 1998, Paisley pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact of first-degree murder. On October 5th, 1998, Henderson avoided going to trial when he pleaded guilty to murder and kidnapping charges. In order to avoid the death penalty, he agreed to testify against McKinney, and he was sentenced by District Judge Jeffrey A. Donnell to 2 consecutive life terms. Bye. The fuck out. At Henderson's sentencing, his lawyer argued that Shepard had not been targeted because he was gay.
Okay.
Prosecutor Cal Ruucha alleged that McKinney and Henderson pretended to be gay to gain Shepard's trust. Price, McKinney's girlfriend, testified that Henderson and McKinney had, quote, pretended they were gay to get Shepard in the truck and to rob him, end quote. McKinney's lawyer attempted to put forward a gay panic defense, which I'm going to cover fucking soon, arguing that McKinney was driven to temporary insanity by alleged sexual advances by Shepard.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you is right. You know when people try to use gay panic in a fucking defense. I
hate
Fuck
everybody.
Off. The defense was rejected by the judge. You can't say you're panicked when you tried to lure him because he's gay. Yes. Because you wanted to pretend you were gay. You
to
fucking
rob somebody.
prick.
Give me a break.
Dumb motherfucker. McKinney's lawyer stated that the two men wanted to rob Shepard but never intended to kill him. Oh, he just beat him to death and leave him in the fucking freezing cold.
Yeah.
Ruucha argued that the killing had been premeditated, driven by, quote, greed and violence, rather than by Shepard's sexual orientation. The jury found McKinney not guilty of premeditated murder, but guilty of felony murder, and began to deliberate on the death penalty. Shepard's parents brokered a deal that resulted in McKinney receiving 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, which I think is incredible that the parents were even
part of that.
Yeah.
You know what?
You know,
wow.
Like, would you be okay with this?
Yeah.
Henderson and McKinney were incarcerated in the Wyoming State Penitentiary in Rawlins and were later transferred to other prisons because of overcrowding. Following her testimony at McKinney's trial, Price, which was his girlfriend, pleaded guilty to a reduced charge of misdemeanor interference with a police officer. Okay, so what else happened?
These women.
I know. Well, what else happens in this time? What else comes to prominence is this Westboro Baptist Church. These fucking pricks.
Oh, God.
With Fred Phelps.
This is Angels in America.
Yes. So they received a national attention for picketing Shepard's funeral with signs bearing homophobic slogans such as, Matt is in hell and God hates fags.
Yeah. God, I remember in the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s, like, this is what churches were doing.
Well, this church.
But there are other churches.
And
the
one
church
up the street,
on Federal
Presbyterian.
Highway.
Yeah, the First Presbyterian Church.
I told you that story. I jumped out of a Jeep and screamed in someone's face.
Yeah, with Kennedy, right? Kennedy was the Reverend Kennedy there. I covered it first.
Disgusting.
Go listen to the first episode of the month.
It's disgusting. I don't understand. Yes, I don't understand how anyone that claims to be religious in any way has any sign that is condemning anyone to hell. Like, who the fuck are you to judge anyone?
No, they're not. It's not a church. It's like a fucking cult.
It's a cult.
Yeah, with all his fucking dumb kids with him. So church members also mounted anti-gay protests during the trials of Henderson and McKinney. So this family can't get away from it. This fucking Shepard family can't get away from these pricks. In response, Romaine Patterson, one of Shepard's friends, organized a group that assembled in a circle around the West Baptist church protesters, which, you know, this scene is incredible, and I got pictures for our notes in my notes, but the group wore white robes and gigantic wings resembling angels, and it blocked the protesters. So what they did is if you look, it's like a PVC pipe, and it goes like this, and the sheets are draped, and behind them are all the signs, so the families could walk to and from the trial and the funeral of their son who was fucking murdered without being harassed.
These horrible human. And these are the same people that stand outside of abortion clinics.
Yes, same people.
And the same people who want to keep their guns. They're so gross.
Yeah. So despite this action, Shepard's parents were still able to hear the protesters shouting anti-gay remarks and comments towards them. They would say things like, "Your son's in hell. Your son's burning in hell." I don't know any God who would fucking approve of that.
I know.
I don't know any fucking God that would think that that's okay.
Well, their God only believes what they want, right? Their God, and somehow, that's the other thing. Isn't there supposed to be some sort of humility that you would think that you understand God's will?
By the way, there's so many people suffering in this world, and all you're doing is adding to suffering. You're not even relieving people of suffering. There's people who actually need help that you could be helping.
Right. No.
This is what mothers who need formula or food or diapers, or, children who are living in poverty. There's people who actually could use your help. Homeless who maybe need a roof over their head or a hot shower and a meal. But you're going to go to a funeral and yell, "God hates fags, your son's in hell"? What? Fucking really get your priorities in fucking order. Despite this action, Shepard's parents... I told you. The police intervened and created a human barrier between the two groups. Angel Action was founded by Patterson in April 1999. So they would go around to... Angels of America is a play.
It's a play. Yeah.
Angel Action is this thing that she started, and then they would go around and go to other places where this Westboro Baptist Church were harassing people. So in the years following her son's death, Judy Shepard has worked as an advocate for LGBTQ rights, particularly issues relating to gay youth. She was a main force behind the Matthew Shepard Foundation, which she and her husband, Dennis, founded in December 1998. In June 2019, Shepard was one of the inaugural 50 American pioneer trailblazer heroes inducted on the National LGBTQ Wall of Honor within the Stonewall Inn in New York City. So legislation. Requests for new legislation to address hate crimes gained momentum during the coverage of this incident. Under existing U.S. federal law and Wyoming state law, crimes committed on the basis of sexual orientation could not be prosecuted as hate crimes. A few hours after... Now, this is 1998.
I know, it's wild.
I just graduated high school in 96. This is not that fucking long ago.
No, it's not that long ago.
That we just, when we talk about turning back the clock on LGBTQ rights, this shit is fucking brand new. In the history of the age of this country, we just now started to protect people based on their sexual orientation. Right. Just now. And they're already trying to stop it.
And like you said, we're still having... We still have so much more to do.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing for specific trans rights needs to be happening. And for just cost of living with not being thrown out. There's no equality amendment. There's no equality rights here either. Right. Even in the country, there's nothing if your landlord finds out you're a gay couple, they can throw you out if they want to, and they cannot. There's nothing law against that protecting gay people.
It's
A few hours after Shepard was discovered, his friends Walt Bolden and Alex Trout began to contact the media organizations, claiming that Shepard had been assaulted because he was gay. And according to prosecutor Cal Riwucha, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, they were calling, quote, he said, quote, they were calling the county attorney's office and they were calling the media and indicating Matthew Shepard is gay and we don't want the fact that he is gay to go unnoticed, end quote. Tina Labrie.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Thank God for them.
Yes. Tina Labrie, a close friend of Shepard, said, quote, Bolden and Trout wanted to make Matt a poster child or something for their cause, end quote. You know what? Good. It needed to happen. This would have gone away and nobody would have known about Wyoming in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I know.
Nobody would have known shit. Bolden linked the attack to the absence of a Wyoming criminal statute protecting for hate crimes charge. In the following session of the Wyoming legislature, a bill was introduced that defined certain attacks motivated by a victim's sexual orientation as hate crimes. The measure failed on a 30-30 tie in the Wyoming House of Representatives. Shame on you! A 21-year-old baby was fucking killed and tied to a fucking barbed wire fence because he's gay.
Right.
And you can't you got a tie? Yeah. Fuck you. He's fucking...
Because they're all tied to the religion.
Good for nothing.
Again,
good for nothing.
Religion is the problem.
Shame. President Bill Clinton renewed attempts to extend federal hate crime legislation to include gay people, women, and people with disabilities. A Hate Crimes Prevention Act was introduced in both the U.S. Senate and the House in November 1997 and reintroduced in March 1999, but was passed by only the Senate in July 1999. In September 2000, both houses of Congress passed such legislation. However, it was stripped out in conference committee. On March 20th, 2007, now we are
again
9 years later. 9 years later.
Why are we, people always talking about how we politicize stuff. This isn't something that should be politicized. Somebody's life.
Yeah. He was one of thousands of people who were killed for that reason. He's just the face of it.
Life.
On March 20th, 2007, the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. James Byrd Jr. was a black man murdered in Texas. God forgive me, I meant to look this up, but I am 99.9% sure he was the black man who was basically lynched. He was dragged behind a truck.
Oh, yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Okay. That was introduced by the federal bipartisan legislation in the U.S. Congress, sponsored by Democrat John Conyers, with 171 co-sponsors. Shepard's parents attended the introduction ceremony. The bill passed the House of Reps on May 3rd, 2007. Similar legislation passed in the Senate on September 27, 2007. However, then President George W. Bush indicated he would veto the legislation if it reached his desk.
Yeah. Because the churches are lining his pockets. That's why.
And the people we elected
are lining his pockets.
But the people we elected, all of the majority of Congress has fucking passed this. You're one fucking person. But the fucking country elected those reps to do this kind of work. How dare you? To protect people. George W. Bush, people because of Trump, George W. Bush is like, oh, he's not so bad. No, he's bad. He's fucking bad. My son wants to be a Navy SEAL. I said, for this fucking country, you want to risk your life? And I think about George W. Bush and how he went to that war, and I'm like, you want to risk your life for this fucking country? I don't think so. Over my fucking dead body.
The same
That's
thing.
going to happen.
I said the same thing. I said,
no fucking way.
There's no way I would have my child fight for what's happening in this country now.
Yeah. And who knows where they're sending you. You just have to go and you say, yes, sir. Fuck you. No fucking way. The Democratic leadership dropped... Alfredo's like... What Alfredo says when I tell him that, Alfredo goes, he's 10 years old. I go, I don't care. I'm stopping this right now. Oh, God. The Democratic leadership dropped the amendment in response to opposition from conservative groups and Bush. So Democrats said, we're not going to be a part. And because the measure was attached to a defense bill, there was lack of support from anti-war Democrats, because we can't just put it up by itself, right? On December 10th, 2007, congressional powers attached bipartisan hate crimes legislation to a Department of Defense authorization bill, although it failed to pass.
I'm sick, again, we talk about this all the time, but I'm sick of, in order to get things passed, we have to attach it to this and attach it to that and make all these deals. Bills should just be a bill.
Yeah.
Fuck all this attaching shit.
Yeah.
And that's it. A clean bill. Because this is why we have problems in this country. Because I'm going to lobby for this, and I'm going to broker for that, and I'm going to do this, and everyone is after their own personal gain when there's people dying.
Yeah.
And goddamn religion, again, is at the heart of it all.
Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, and she said, quote, still...
she's been there forever.
Yeah. She was 90 then. No, I'm saying it again. Quote, still committed to get, she was, quote, still committed to getting the Matthew Shepard Act passed, end quote. Pelosi planned to get the bill passed in early 2008, although she did not succeed. Following his election as president, Barack Obama stated that he was committed to passing the act. The U.S. House of Representatives debated the expansion of hate crimes legislation on April 29th, 2009.
I mean, this
is now 11 years after Matthew Shepard died. During the debate, Representative Virginia Foxx of North Carolina called the hate crime labeling of Shepard's murder a hoax.
Oh, because this is when all the crazy cuckoo conspiracy nuts start coming out.
This is the Tea Party.
Tea Party cuckoos.
Fox later
it's all our fault that the Tea Party came, honestly. We were asleep.
Fox later called her comments a poor choice of words. I'd say.
God.
Don't know who that is. She must be out now.
What is it like to just be so filled with hate and lack of empathy, but walk through the world and think that you are pious?
White.
What is that like?
That's what it is. It's white. White. Straight white.
Wasp.
Woman.
Wasp.
Wino. Yeah. The House passed the act designated HR 1913 by a vote of 249 and 175. Ted Kennedy and Patrick Leahy and a bipartisan coalition introduced the bill in the Senate on April 28th, and it had 43 co-sponsors as of June 17th, 2009. The Matthew Shepard Act was adopted as an amendment to Senate Bill 1390 by a vote of 63-28 on July 15th, 2009. And on October 22nd, 2009, the Senate passed the act by a vote of 68-29. Bipartisan, okay? President Obama signed the measure into law on October 28th, 2009. On October 26th, 2018, just over 20 years after his death, Shepard's ashes were interred at the crypt of Washington National Cathedral in D.C., which is,
my God.
His parents...
his
parents, I read this whole thing about why they did this is because... They didn't know where to put him. They didn't want to put him in Wyoming because they were worried it would bring too much attention to that area. And like the people there have been through a lot, people who support the family, but also because of people who could desecrate the grave. And so they didn't know what to do. And then this was offered, which is incredible. This is
what they have to think about. Like, what is going to happen to where I lay my child?
Yeah. The ceremony was presided over by the first openly gay Episcopalian Bishop Gene Robinson and the Bishop of Washington, Reverend Marion Edgar Budd. He was the first interment of the ashes of a national figure at the cathedral since Helen Keller's 50 years earlier.
Oh my God.
Which is a beautiful, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a fucking beautiful church.
This is just like so upsetting.
So that's
he should be alive.
Matthew Shepard.
He should be doing political
He's our age.
Work.
He's our age. If you look at the pictures of him, he still has pimples on his face. I mean, he's a baby.
He's a baby.
In the middle of nowhere trying to have a connection with another human being. That's the thing. That's the thing that really
I know.
That's the thing that really upsets me is this poor kid is gay in the middle of fucking nowhere in Wyoming.
I know.
And somebody shows him attention because he's alone in this middle of nowhere. There's no grinder. There's no somebody 50 feet away from me. He's in the middle of nowhere trying to make even if it's just a hookup, it's just a connection with another person. And this is what turned out to happen to him. He didn't fucking deserve it. No. You want to rob somebody, take their wallet and leave them alone.
Fine.
Why are you beating someone like this? Why are we raising our children to think about the LGBTQ community this way? And why are we electing people who
that are protecting
on the
people.
News saying that this kind of thing is putting people back in the closet is okay? This is not okay. This is not okay.
And it's getting worse. When we look at the Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene won her primary. Why? Why are they voting for her? Again, she's fucking nuts. But the people who have to check her name in the voting booth are crazier. Because she wouldn't be sitting there if these people, I'm starting to read a book. I got a book. It's called God Is Not Great.
Uh-huh.
And it's all about how religion poisons everything. It's just the book I need to read. Because I've been struggling. And I have felt now for a while that religion is a poison. That all of these horrible bills are backed up by people who are in their big tents screaming about Jesus, and all it is about hurting other human beings. It doesn't reconcile in my mind. It doesn't reconcile. And I wanted to read a little quote because I feel like it connects to what you're talking about. But he says that religion is, quote, violent, irrational, intolerant, allied to racism, tribalism, and bigotry, invested in ignorance, and hostile to free inquiry, contemptuous of women, and coercive toward children. And I cannot wait to read this book.
Oh my God, it sounds awesome.
I cannot wait to read it. I will give it to you when I'm done. But
well, it'll just collect us on that side table. Just give me the cliff notes. Give me the Tina cliff notes, please.
But at the root of your story, is religion. That is why these politicians are afraid to maybe vote the way that they maybe would vote. Yeah. Because again, they're getting money by these organizations, which they're not supposed to be. But we have a problem in this country of making that separation between church and state, and we're allowing these organizations to have power in our politics.
But also we've come so far as people, worldwide and as a country.
It doesn't feel like it sometimes.
But we've come so far since 1998. We've come so far with our family members, our friends. When I was in high school, nobody came out. Right. These kids are coming out in middle school. Yes. And feel comfortable, feel safe in school with their friends at least, right? Yes. So I think that there's something to be said about that, and we have to remember that. Remember this. And representation in the media. Yes, so when people that are elected that have the majority are telling you that what you know is right is wrong, you have to remember that we are doing the right. Our hearts and minds are in the right place. I know that there's lots of conservatives who have gay family members that they love and they care about. Right. So you have to remember that when you vote, but you are electing somebody. You know what I mean? Like you have to see that. You have to acknowledge that. How do you vote again for someone that will hurt someone you love? How do you do it? How do you, in your right mind? There's not enough tax breaks in the world that I would get from electing a Republican. Like, I would love it, some great tax breaks, but there's not enough in the world that I would vote for someone who would also, in turn, take away my reproductive rights, take away rights against about people who I love and I fucking care about in my family and in my friend circle. No fucking way. No fucking way. And I'm not a part of that community, but I can't even imagine what it is like to hear a governor in your state who's supposed to be your leader and the person leading the state saying these kinds of things about you. They don't even understand. It's so insane. And then restricting anyone to say anything about you or your family. It's fucked up. And what are we doing? The newest thing in Florida is drag shows, which my God, like, I'm out of my mind. Like, they're gonna, if you bring your child to a drag show, no more drag shows with children. It's ridiculous. My kids love Drag Race. They've watched Drag Race. It's a huge part of, like, we love drag in this house. So go fuck yourself. Come and take it. Come and take me away then, motherfucker. I don't understand it. And I saw somebody had posted, I saw a few people had posted this where it's like, Monday, Tuesday, it's like gun violence, mass shooting, in Florida, like Drag Race. Like, that's what we're focusing on. We have bigger issues. Yeah. It's the arts. And that's part of it too. Like, drag is art. Drag is a form of art. It is an expression. It is beautiful. It is fun. Oh my God, it's amazing. It is just such an amazing, it's a twisting of the mind. Like, I always think about Rocky Horror Picture Show and how I was 15 years old when I watched my friend Jeanette brought over Rocky Horror Picture Show. It blew my fucking mind. Oh my God. It blew my fucking mind. And I saw something I had never experienced in my entire fucking life, right? Like, it changed my view of gender identity, of sexuality, of the music, the songs, but just this warped idea of, like, my heteronormative upbringing, right? Yeah. And it just fucking shifted it, and I was like, holy fuck, there's a whole other world that exists that is so fucking and fun and cool and beautiful. It's like, this is what we want our children. We don't want them to be like this. Right. White robots, right? Like, no, we can have this whole colorful, exploding, like, magical world that exists. Like, that's what we should be doing. Why do we want to live in a box and have people tell us how to think? Fuck that. But the irony of irony, right, is parental rights. But we don't have parental rights on this, right? No. It's parental rights on history. It's parental rights on reproduction. It's parental rights on whether you can say gay or not. But now a parent doesn't have rights on what
they can like take their kids to. Give me a break.
I know.
This governor is he's a dictator.
Yeah.
And he yields his power to harm people. And I swear, if he gets the presidency, we are in so much more danger than we ever had with Donald Trump. Like, people really need to think about that.
Yeah.
And the Democrats better get it together.
That's it. Let's end on that note. Let's end on the dark and dreary Democratic Party. We gotta go. We gotta go talk to Wes Davis. Woo! So excited. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
Oh, we gotta call his ass right now.
Yes.
Oh, so excited about this. So anyway, have a great week. It's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. She doesn't listen to this anyway, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right, I'll talk. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.